Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is another request, this time from Rich. Very interesting request. I appreciate anyone who has sent in requests. If you're interested in whether it be a review, re-review, topic, reaction, a list, random request, news, just talk about movies, something else, just pretty much whatever video-wise. You just send a request either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, the request here, there's these two films, Mindhunters, directed by Renny Harlin, and ICU, also known as Detox, starring Sylvester Stallone. And he wanted me to do a head-to-head comparison, where, like, which one did I like better, which had a stranger development or history, which got screwed over more, whether it be release, studio mingling. And I think because I remember at one point I talked about these two films, and I do enjoy both. But they're both films that deal with serial killers, and they're around the same time in the 2000s, the early 2000s. Again, both were screwed around with their studios, both were released sometime later. And there will be times I go, you know what, it would have been interesting if Renny Harlin and Sylvester Stallone got together for this kind of movie instead of fucking Driven. Because they worked together on Cliffhanger. And Driven is one of my least favorite Stallone films. So, I really enjoy this film, but I'm like, man, if Renny Harlin directed this, it would have been interesting. Or I look at Mindhunters, like, man, if Sylvester Stallone was the LL Cool J role in Mindhunters, that would have been really cool. So, then I thought, how the hell do I start this off? I guess to talk about both films separately. Mindhunters is the story of this group of FBI profilers. They're in training and they go to this island. I really like the idea of this, where they go to this island where things are set up and they have to train to try to do a profile on this killer. And there's mannequins and there's all these buildings around this island. Val Kilmer's heading the training. Some of the people part of the training is Christian Slater. LL Cool J joins later. But then people start getting killed. And it's like, wait a minute, the only people on this island are us. And then who can you trust? And there's these certain traps. Not as intricate as Jigsaw, which I'm actually fine with. I like it a lot more than the Saw movies, honestly. And I thought it was very well polished. It definitely has some nice gore moments. It's a very solid looking movie for a flick that Sally, you might also say, just went to fucking DVD. That's really what it barely did anything in theaters. And I had a couple issues with the movie. In particular, the guy... Well, some of the actors were fine, and I don't mind LL Cool J. I didn't mind him in the film. I actually rather liked LL Cool J in that movie. But if you had someone like Stallone or Van Damme, like if Renny Harlin, the whole movie directing, it was Van Damme in that role, that'd be really cool. That would have been very cool. But I do like LL Cool J. But when you find out who the person is the killer, I'm not 100% on the actor. I mean, it wasn't bad now that I think about it, to be fair. But I'm trying to remember the first time I saw it, if I was able to guess if that person was the killer. I'm not sure. But at least it's a very polished looking movie, and to me, one of Renny Harlin's more underrated films. I think if you like movies, if you watch the trailer, I think Sally got fucked around. From looking up on here, originally set for U.S. release in 2003 or early 2004. It was pushed back to June 2004. It had positive test screenings. It was pushed back to improve the marketing of the film. That didn't happen. But there's massive layoffs at Miramax and Dimension. And then Disney and Miramax split. So the film remained in the Dimension vaults unreleased during this time. When the Disney and Miramax divorce was finally completed, numerous films under the Dimension label were just dumped. Now, it said it made a theatrical debut in May 2005. Good luck finding anybody who saw this in a fucking theater, though. But Mindhunters, I don't know if there's a Blu-ray of it. I only have the DVD. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray. If so, I would like to pick it up. That would be nice. And on the flip side, you had ICU. Now, ICU, I remember more about when I first saw this, because it was God, I forgot what movie I saw that had the trailer for this in front of it. It was a DVD. I'm like, what the fuck? There's a Stallone like horror movie or like dark like, serial killer thriller. Cool. And I remember I walked up, and I literally walked from where I was to Best Buy to see it, and there it was. It had the white cover called ICU, and I'm like, wow, and I bought it at Best Buy when Best Buy had more movies. Now good luck if you find any movies at Best Buy, or good luck if you find it at Best Buy. Or if you did, maybe the DVDs are about this big. This here is more DVDs than a Best Buy has. Sadly, or Blu-rays, whatever you want to call it. And I took it home and I enjoyed it. Now, the editing is a bit weird in points, or scenes kind of seem like they drop off, or not really drop, they fade. They do these fades, like something's happened, then they do like a fade into another scene. That happens a couple times, and you tell there's something going on with the editing. I do wish it had more gore, but one of the reasons I love the film is this guy. This is one of Stallone's best performances. I've said it before, I will say it again. This is one of Stallone's best fucking performances. And I love the location. A friend of mine said it best. It reminds you of John Carpenter's The Thing, location-wise. Now, yeah, there's that part that goes, well, would you really send a bunch of alcoholics to this really depressing place? No wonder you'd be like, wow, this really is depressing. Put some fucking Pink or some, I don't know, Looney Tune, Bugs Bunny or something to cheer the place up. But for the kind of movie it is, it's a beautiful looking place. And the cast, I mean, you got Tom Berenger, Charles Dutton, Robert Prosty, who is in Christine, Robert Patrick, Courtney B. Vance, Jeffrey Wright, Chris Christopherson. And how much do I want to give? Well, I've talked about this film before, so I don't know how much I would be giving away. But I mean, I really like the music. I think the music is beautiful. I love Stallone's performance. I love the way it ends. It's satisfying. You see this? That was fucking satisfying. I enjoyed it when I first saw it, and I like this movie more and more each time I watch it. And I would say this is one of my favorite Stallone films nowadays. They would easily be in my top 10 Stallone films. Top 5? I don't know about top 5, because I had Rambo 2, Cobra, Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, that would be in there. Rambo 3 would be up there. So, probably not top 5. Just like Rambo 2, Cobra, Rambo 3, like, those are always fighting in the top 3. Number 1 one week, one's number 1 another week. Cliffhanger and Demolition Man are definitely up there, but this is easily my top 10. I love the movie. despite some of his issues. Now, the development of this, it was finished in 1999. Universal Studios decided to screen it in a test audience, and it got bad reactions. Now, if it was the cut here, Detox, I can kind of see why it would get bad reactions. Because the Detox version, I did a video ranting on this version. If you've seen the film, it'll make more sense if you've seen the film. If not, I don't know how else to word it. In the original version, again, the one called Detox, and just to simplify it, if I say ICU, I'm talking about this version that's been released. If I'm saying Detox, I mean the original work print, the first one they showed at those screenings. And the Detox version, the way the movie opened up, the killer did something, and then very quickly, Stallone is at this facility. And you don't see much about what happened to him for him to get there until I'll tell him you get some flashbacks here. Then you get some flashbacks there. That really messes with the pacing. That really messes with the structure. Any flow the movie could have keeps getting disrupted by these flashbacks. That's issue number one. Issue number two, very important scene in the ICU version, which were additional photography, reshoots. They're not in the Detox original version. For example, Stallone picked up the bad guy going, "You see this?" and impaling the motherfucker head first. That's not in the original version. There's a bit early on where Charles Dutton's trying to talk to his friend, Stallone's character, and they're in a bar, and Stallone's like sitting back, kind of smoking, and he takes a gun and he goes, and Charles says, "What are you doing, man?" Just before that, it's like, why don't you just blow your brains out instead of fucking with her memory, dishonoring her memory. And then Stallone's like, boom, boom, boom. That's not in the original version. And even some of these deleted scenes are not in the original version. They got deleted in both versions. And one scene that should have been put back in either version of the movie is there is a bit where Stallone, it's in the finished version, but I think it's done better in the deleted scene where Stallone wakes up in his cell and he turns and he's like, "No, no," and he pounding on the door. Again, that's in the release version, but it's the way the way it's edited is just not as effective as in the original version, where you're supposed to think this is really happening, and then you realize it's a nightmare. Like the way in the finished film, off the bat this is a nightmare. Yeah, there were some issues. Okay. The first cut got bad reactions. The film was then shelved while reshoots and story changes were being done. I don't remember. I don't know what the story changes were. A new ending was also filmed. Yeah, the villain is killed. So you had some reshoots, additional photography, towel changes. At one point it was the Outpost. At one point it's Detox. Then ICU. Universal Studios did not care for it. After test screenings for the new version, it also got a negative response. It finally received a limited release 3 years after completion. Yeah, limited as in maybe, 3 theaters, and then mainly direct to video. Now to go into each that Rich asked for, which one do I like better? I would say at the end of the day I like this one better. I think mostly because of him. Because despite what I feel about Stallone's recent track record, despite what I feel about what Stallone has been pumping out for the past 10 years, I'm sorry, I have not cared for a lot of his stuff. because Stallone to me can do better than Bat Trace. He did do better than Escape Plan 2 or Escape Plan 3. These films are so below and beneath him. When you look at a film like ICU and you look at the way his character and how you feel sorry for the character and the depth he brings to his character and very different type of role. There's not many movies I can think of where he's the suicidal guy cutting and then the cast. Just then you look at suddenly Steve Plan 2, you go, this is ridiculous. Bat Trace, that should have been something that fucking Bruce Willis should have done, not Stallone. And I'm still a big fan of Stallone. It's just I think nowadays it's what can I get paid for, not I really want to do this. I'm sorry, I don't think the guy was really gonna know about Escape Plan sequels. But hey, this amount of time and I get paid this amount of money, okay, I really do feel that's the case. Can anyone who saw Bat Trace really say this was such a great strong script that Stallone said, I need to do this script? Where you play just a regular cop that has like 10 minutes of screen time? I'm sorry, that's just how I see it. If you disagree, that's fine. That's just how I see it. But like comparing the two, both movies have interesting settings. I would say what Mindhunters does better is it's a more gory film. I think the direction is a bit more polished. I think it's a bit of a better looking film compared to this. I think, like I said, Rennie Harlan has a better handling on certain suspense, definitely gore, compared to Jim Gillespie, who had done previously I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I do think Rennie Harlan has more of a hand in that, a better handle on that. And like I said, Mindhunters has some pretty damn decent death sequences. You don't really see any in this. But this, I would say I like the score more. I in particular remember the score that's at the very end, the very sweet melody type of score that plays right before the end credits, and that is from John Powell. At least this was attributed on the credits here. I can't hum it, I do a bad job of it. But yeah, the music, the cast, I mean, the cast in Mindhunters do fine. But you look at, you got LL Cool J, Christian Slater, Val Kilmer. Slater and Kilmer are not in the film too much. The other actors are good, or fine. But then compared to Stallone, I don't mind LL Cool J, but I gotta pick Stallone over LL Cool J. And then you got Robert Patrick, T-1000, you got Tom Berenger, you got Platoon, Charles Dutton. One of the only things worth a shit in Alien 3. Sean Patrick Flannery, I mentioned Chris Christopherson. I do think this has a better cast. I think this, like I said, I like LL Cool J, but I prefer Stallone as the lead. What would I prefer location-wise? I like both locations. I might give the locations to Mindhunters. Because the whole FBI training playground of this island is a very neat backdrop. And like I said, Rennie Harlan, I think, he definitely has a more eye for the camera. And if you've seen films like Elm Street 4 or Prison or Die Hard 2 and stuff, you do notice that. Cliffhanger, of course. But I would say that if it's a good double feature to watch, Mindhunters and ICU, but I would say I really got into Stallone's performance. The thing with LL Cool J, he does fine, but you really don't know much about his character because the whole point of the movie is a mystery as to who's the killer and who's not. You get a lot more to Stallone's character. You see him as this normal guy, and he's in love with his fiance, and he's trying to buy a gift, and he's being warm, and he's talking with the guy like, you know, this is going to cost how much, and there's that levity and love, and then see him break down when he sees his dead, the love of his life dead and hanging there, and the anguish, and then the suicide. You really go on a journey with Stallone's character. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie, and to me, that's what pushes ICU above Mindhunters, at least for me. But Mindhunters is still a really good one. Which one has stranger development history, and which got screwed more in terms of release? I would say this one. Like with Mindhunters, Sally, there's a lot of films that they get stuck in this thing where they're in this limbo because the studio had a split. And yeah, movies that flounder, and you go, well, this isn't our fucking problem. This isn't our fault. But they just gotta wait it out and be like, maybe we'll get released somewhere. Oh, we got dumped? Well, that sucks. This I would say more because the whole, I mean, okay, the original version, you know, to backtrack one thing I said, I wouldn't even say the original Detox was the worst thing ever. Well, I didn't even say that, but I would say, okay, there's promise here at least. There's promise here. Let's see if you can fix it. And I do think they fixed a lot of it. Not all of it, but a lot of it, comparing both versions. But the fact that they saw this version and said, oh, this sucks, and then Universal goes, well, this sucks, fuck it, we don't give a shit. Ron Howard at one point was a producer, then his name fucking disappeared quickly. And then Universal's like, we don't want this shit. So now DEJ Productions took it. Have you seen some of the shit Universal has released? But they don't want to release this movie? Like with Mindhunters, it seemed as if it wasn't their fault. Well, I can't even say that. It wasn't really the fault either, but what happened with Mindhunter Sally, it didn't seem almost like a vindictive nature of, we're in the middle of this, you know, Disney Miramax, who gets this, who gets that. Okay, yeah, well, it still sucks, it still deserved a lot more. Here, I think just the fact that this just seems to get shit on so much more as like one of Stallone's worst films, and you know, just the fact that Universal like, we will not release this. We are above this. Oh, you're gonna release 18 more Fast and Furious movies, and I don't even hate Fast and Furious movies, but like, I'll take this over Fast and Furious. I mean, have you seen some of this shit? Didn't Universal release The Mummy with Tom Cruise? Didn't they release that? The Mummy with Tom Cruise, The Cummy, as my friend called it. The buttfuckery is what it might as well have been called. Tom Cruise, The Mummy sucked dick. This movie is a lot better than that movie, but it will release that movie, but not this. Get the fuck out of here. So, again, comparing the two, I do think this has the better cast. I think Mindhunters is better directed. The editing flows better in Mindhunters. Mindhunters is a bit better, has better gore death scenes, but this essential character is much more fleshed out, and thus to me is a much stronger character compared to LL Cool J. While I keep repeating, I do like him in that. Actually, I would say that's one of LL Cool J's best roles, is that in Deep Blue Sea, honestly. But it does make me want to go rewatch Mindhunters now. It'd be a good double feature, this and Mindhunters. like I said, I don't remember the music in Mindhunters. It could be good if I watch it again, but I just don't remember it. But I do remember the music in this. The mysteries, I don't know if either one. I caught who the the I keep want to say the creature. Be cool if there was a creature and who the killer was. I don't know if I guessed in either one. I don't think I did. I'm surprised there's not a... well, maybe I guess Mindhunters is on Blu-ray. If not, someone released Mindhunters and this type of thing. Or maybe MVD. Then you could really do a double feature between this and Mindhunters. I don't know. But, again, which do I like better? I would probably say ICU. Which had a Stranger development history. Stranger, I would say that with the whole... Then Ron Howard at one point was going to direct it, but then he didn't. And then at one name, him and Brian Grazer were going to... Their names were on it, and then they were gone. Universal was going to release it, then they're like, fuck you. That one more so, I think, has the Stranger development. And got screwed more. Because I don't think this film is nearly as fucking bad as people make it out to be. I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10. I've said that the editing is a bit weird. What they should do is have this movie... and put the fucking deleted scenes back in. Which I thought was the fucking original version. The word print, but no. It was some other... it was a stupid thing. But anyway, that's just me. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.